how to spice up your chord progressions and make your chord playing more interesting for yourself and more interesting for people that are listening to you. So we're going to look at various different ways of making your chords sound a bit more interesting and a bit more varied, and we're going to base this on the assumption that we're playing a song with a verse with 3 chords, which will be G, C, D, and then back to G. So that's going to be the verse. We're not going to bother looking at choruses or anything, or bridges. We're just going to base it like that so that it's nice and simple, just so you get the idea. So the first way of spicing up your chord progressions is to use a different inversion or a different position. So if we're looking at playing this as a verse, once you've played that through a couple of times, you're going to be pretty bored with it. So we're going to look at playing those same 3 chords in a different place. So what about up here? So straight away it sounds different, and it's a challenge because you've got to now learn some different places to play those chords. So that's the first way of doing it. So second way is arpeggios. So you could play one verse like that. Second verse you might want to come in with and just put some arpeggios in. Just breaks it up a little bit and changes the dynamic. That's obviously just an example. You can play those arpeggios anywhere. That'd be another example of doing that technique. Another way, which is really simple, is just change your pickup selection. So you can go from a warmer sound, put it in your bridge pickup, and you've got a harsher sound, which again, it's not a lot of difference in terms of what you're playing, but it will change the tone and make your verse sound different. So another way of doing it, put your pick down and use these little sausages over here. So instead of playing with a pick, we're going to play . So all I'm doing there is so again, that just gives you a slightly different sound. Another way of doing it is to play just 2 notes from a chord. Instead of playing the whole chord, just pick a couple of notes. So there I'm just playing the root and the third, so G and B, C and D, D and F sharp, and G and B again up here. Obviously you can play that anywhere. Okay, so again that's just an example. So instead of playing the whole chord, we're just going to play a couple of notes. It doesn't have to be the root and the third either, you can use any of the notes from the chord. So another one that I like is, rather than just play the chord, is flowing into the chord with a note that precedes the chord. For example, so what I did there was I took the note from the scale that is that comes before that chord, and I'm sliding from that note into the chord. So because I'm playing a G chord, and this is the first note I'm playing the F sharp, sliding it in, and then hitting the chord. Now because I'm using a C chord here, I'm sliding from that same note because this is the lowest note in the chord. Now I'm going up to a D, but I'm playing it here. So I'm going to slide from this G into the A, then back into the G there. And again, you can use that in any position. So I'm sliding from that A into that B for that G. Okay, so again, that just adds another bit of variety to what you're doing. Another thing you can do is break up your chords by playing riffs instead of chords. So verse 1 might be, etc. Verse 2 might be, okay, so then you're just playing licks. A lot of the old rock and rollers used to do this all the time. Okay, so little things like that. So another thing that I like to do is find notes that are common between chords. So for example, in a G chord we have G, B and D. In a C chord we have C, E and G. So that G is in both those chords. It doesn't work in the D chord, but we don't need it to, because we're going to just concentrate on those first two chords. So that G, we're going to accent it. Okay, so we're really making a note of that G note in there. Another thing we can do is accent at different times within the bar. So instead of just accenting, instead of just accenting beat 1 and 3, if you've got the count of 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So you're accenting off of the beat, 1. Okay, so again, adds a different feel to what you're doing. Another thing you can do is extremities and pitch. So we can play from here for the G. So you really, your pitch is going like this, and it really brings people's ear to it because it's not just a standard. So again, it sounds totally different. So another thing you can do is play half chord and half lick. So I would go with some sort of pentatonic thing just to make it easier. So find out where your pentatonics are in relation to your chords. So you've got a G major chord, and then you want a G major pentatonic. Or you can play the E minor. So, okay, so there's a lick in with a G chord. Then you've got your C chord. Okay, so that's another thing you can do to make your chords a little bit more varied. So all I've done there is I've played a G major chord and then a really simple lick in a G major pentatonic, C major, which is just, again, I've stuck something in A major pentatonic. You can just as well stick something in that's in C major pentatonic, D major. Again, the timing is important here, so you need to make sure that your chords are still on the beat, your licks are on the beat, and then you start your next chord in the right place. Don't be afraid to use silence. So for example, you've got this chord progression. So don't be afraid to just hit. So you're using silence in there and you're not playing anything at all. So don't be afraid of that. So use of effects is another thing you can do. So I'm just using delay here, and I'll show you one other in a minute, but you can do something like this. So all I'm doing there is playing a really simple line, but letting the effect do all the work. So I'm going to do a similar thing now, I'm just going to use a bit of tremolo. So again, I'm just using a really simple little 2-note piece, but letting the effects do the work. Another way to do it is to play with different stages of gain. So you could have one verse, and play it like that with a nice clean sound. And the next verse might go like this. And it sounds completely different. Another thing you can do is use notes that aren't in the chords or aren't in the standard 1-3-5 chord. So all I've done there is stick some fourths in. So by fourth I mean the fourth note in the scale. So in a G we're looking at a C, which I played here. So we've got C, stuck the F in there, in the D, the G, and then back into the standard G chord. So you can use fourths, sevenths, ninths, whatever, but it just adds some flavour to the chord. So that's another thing you can do to make your chords sound a bit different. So I hope that helps you make your chords a little bit more interesting when you're playing and opens up some new ideas for you.